Alright, so Spider-Man Homecoming is out in theaters right now, and if you've seen the movie, I think you'll agree with me when I say that it's fucking awesome. Seriously, it's a great movie. If you haven't seen it yet, go see it. Now, I'm going to be doing a full review of it later, but for right now, I wanted to go through all the awesome Easter eggs and references I was able to find in the movie. Before I get into that though, I just want to remind you guys this video is going to have a ton of spoilers in it, obviously. So if you haven't seen Spider-Man Homecoming yet, and you don't want to know anything about it before you go and see it, you should probably click away and watch one of my other videos instead. I'll put a link to one on screen, you can check it out if you want. That having been said, let's check out all the Easter eggs and references in Spider-Man Homecoming. Now, our first Easter egg actually pops up just as the movie starts. When the Marvel Studios logo fades in, complete with a shot of Spider-Man in the lettering, rather than playing the usual intro music, you'll hear an updated version of the classic Spider-Man cartoon intro from 1967. Moving on, the first scene in the movie involves a pre-Vulture Adrian Toomes and his cleanup crew working on clearing up some of the Chitauri wreckage from 2012's The Avengers. Funny enough, it actually takes place in the same building where Hulk punches Thor just after they took down that Leviathan together. And given that Toomes is cleaning up Chitauri wreckage, we can also see some of their bodies in the wreckage as well as one of their chariots. When we shift over to Peter's school, we're introduced to his friend Ned as he plays with a Lego figurine of Emperor Palpatine while Peter opens his locker, number 1138. Considering the fact that it's paired with a Star Wars figure in this scene, the number is most likely a reference to the 1971 film THX 1138, the very first film George Lucas ever directed. As seen in the trailers, you can also see Howard Stark painted into the school's mural in the background as Peter walks through the halls, and a photo of Mark Ruffalo's Bruce Banner can be seen among a bunch of other photos of great scientists throughout history. As we see Spider-Man stopping a variety of local crimes, he also takes down what he thinks is a car thief, which is where Stan Lee's cameo fits in. He's a guy yelling at Spider-Man from a window and calling him a punk for setting off the car's alarm during the takedown. At one point, Ned starts talking about what he would do if he were Spider-Man, saying that he would stand at the top of a building and see how far his webs could shoot. This could be a reference to the scene in the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie, when Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker does something similar while discovering his powers. Speaking of the first Sam Raimi movie, after saving Liz and the rest of the debate team in Washington, D.C., Peter was hanging upside down and being urged by Karen to kiss her.
This is your chance, Peter. Kiss her. I'm good.
A nod to the famous scene where Peter kissed Mary Jane upside down in the rain. When a group of girls talk about Spider-Man while sitting on the bleachers, one of them says, "Ew, he's probably like 30.
He's probably like 30.
I don't know, I thought this was a dig at the ages of both Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, both of whom were well above high school age when they played Spider-Man in the movies. At one point, Spidey fumbles around the suburbs and has to run to the scene of a crime due to not having any tall buildings around to cling to. This, of course, is a reference to the 1985 story The Commuter Cometh from Amazing Spider-Man issue number 267, where comic book Peter suffers a lot of the same mobility problems while chasing down a criminal. There's also two shockers in the movie, Jackson Bryce and Herman Schultz. In the comics, Jackson Bryce went under the name Montana, a member of the group known as the Enforcers, who first appeared as henchmen of the Kingpin and were some of the earliest villains Spidey ever fought. While in the comics he never took up the shocker name, Bryce does however put on the costume in the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon. In the movie, it's mentioned mockingly by Toomes that he calls himself the Shocker, although we never hear him or Schultz mention the name on screen.
You're up there wearing that goofy thing, lighting up cars, calling yourself the Shocker. I'm the Shocker. I shock people. What is this, pro wrestling?
Neither of them really wear a costume, but the jacket they wear with the yellow crosshatch, the quilt-looking sleeves, it's very reminiscent of the Shocker's costume from the comics. Bryce also does mention during a sale with Donald Glover's Aaron Davis that he has guns made from Ultron drone arms, some of the black hole bombs from Thor the Dark World, some Chitauri tech, and the Tinkerer mentions that the Shocker Gauntlet came from cleaning up the situation in Lagos that we saw in Civil War. Given that the Shocker Gauntlet looks so similar to the ones Crossbones wore in Civil War, I'm guessing they fiddled around with the one gauntlet that Cap ripped off and threw onto the ground, and, you know, didn't blow up. There's also a reference to that one scene in Ferris Bueller's Day Off when Ferris is trying to get back home by running through people's backyards. Peter chases after Bryce and Schultz and has to run through multiple backyards, talks to girls, comments on someone's dinner, and even swings past someone playing Ferris Bueller yelling about how it's a great movie. After the chase, there's a moment when Tony asks Peter to take it easy and be more of a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Can't you just be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man?
This, of course, is a reference to Spidey's often repeated self-description from the comics. Technically, this could also be a reference to the series Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, the title of which was based on the same description. During gym class, we can see that Michelle is reading the 1915 novel Of Human Bondage by W. Somerset Maugham, a book that starts with protagonist Philip Carey being orphaned and sent to live with his aunt and uncle, which of course is similar to Peter having to live with his Aunt May and Uncle Ben after being orphaned for some reason or another. We don't really know who or what killed his parents in the MCU yet. There's also a couple Civil War references during this same scene, like when Peter mentions to Ned that he stole Captain America's shield before getting beaten up by him, a reference to their fight in the airport, and the gym teacher mentioning that Cap may be a war criminal as the students watch his PSA, a reference to his fugitive-style status at the end of the movie. Although nobody really seems to care all that much, so whatever. Speaking of Peter's school, Kenneth Choi's Principal Merida was already confirmed a while ago to be a descendant of the actor's role in the first Avenger, but this is actually reconfirmed when Peter's sent to his office. In the office, you can see a black and white photo of Jim Merida, the Howling Commando who fought alongside Captain America, on the file cabinet, along with a bunch of war medals and stuff hanging on the wall next to it. A bunch of the other characters scattered throughout the school and the academic decathlon team also appeared in the comics. On the team, you have Abraham Abe Brown, a character that first appeared in 1974 and who has connections to Spider-Man, Iron Fist, and the Human Torch. He was also a superhero, using a magic amulet to make himself superhumanly strong and taking the name Black Tiger in 1976. There's also Cindy Moon, a character who doesn't really need any introduction since she takes on the identity of Silk. And then there's Sally Averill, who once tried to become a superhero named Bluebird, only to eventually die in a car accident in 1996's Untold Tales of Spider-Man issue number 13. In the school itself, you have Charlie Murphy, a minor Spider-Man character first introduced in 1964, Jason Ianello, a character first introduced in 1995 as a friend of Flash Thompson, and, as it turns out, was the one who accidentally killed Sally after wrecking his car while driving her around. He ended up trying to kill himself because of it until the Vulture convinced him to blame Spider-Man instead. Seymour O'Reilly, a character first introduced all the way back in 1962, only to be killed off by Venom in 2004's Marvel Knights, Spider-Man issue number 7. Brian McKeever, first introduced in 1995 and later getting a job working as a security guard for Empire State University. And teacher Mr. Roger Harrington, a teacher at Peter's school assigned as academic decathlon coach, who was first introduced in 2001's Amazing Spider-Man issue number 32. As the decathlon team heads into DC, the Triskelion is referenced by one of those electronic road signs, and Schultz and the Tinkerer mention that there's still cleanup going on over there, both of which are clear references to the events of the Winter Soldier. During the scene when Vulture robs a damage control truck, there's something in there that kind of looked like Doc Ock tentacles. I'm not really sure, I didn't really see it all that well. An Ultron head is also tossed aside by Peter when he tries to escape the damage control facility, and it's hinted that Ultron might actually still be alive since the eyes were on and glowing red. As we've seen in the trailers, Spider-Man's suit has its own AI, which he eventually starts calling Karen. This is possibly a reference to the Karen O'Malley character from Spider-Man Unlimited, or it could just be a reference to Karen from SpongeBob. Either one works. Either way, Jennifer Connelly is the voice of Karen, and she played Betty Ross in the original Ang Lee Hulk movie. She's also married to Paul Bettany in real life, who started his MCU career as the voice of Tony's AI Jarvis in 2008's Iron Man. Just before Peter goes to interrogate Aaron Davis, a police report pulled up by Karen mentions that he goes by a couple aliases, including Prowler, reconfirming that he is indeed the MCU's version of the longtime Spider-Man enemy from the comics, and Brian Pichelli, a reference to both Brian Michael Bendis, a comic book writer and artist, and Sarah Pichelli, another comic book artist. Both of them also created the Miles Morales character, the second Spider-Man in the Ultimate Universe. During the interrogation, Davis mentions wanting to keep his nephew safe from all the weapons Vulture and his men are selling. Even though we never hear the nephew's name, it was confirmed in interviews that the nephew is Miles Morales. And during the same scene, the license plate on Davis's car reads UCS-M01, a reference to Ultimate Comics Spider-Man issue number 1. On the ferry, a car's license plate reads SM2-0563. This is probably a reference to the first appearance of Vulture in Amazing Spider-Man issue number 2, published in May of 1963. I didn't actually find this one myself, I found it in one of Mike Sampson's tweets from a few months ago, so thanks a bunch, Mike. Towards the end of the movie, in the car with his date after Homecoming, Flash mentions that they had Branzino and that he knows when it's fresh, and what they ate wasn't fresh. This could be a reference to 2012's Amazing Spider-Man movie, where Peter and Gwen's family had Branzino for dinner. The fact that it's not fresh could be another reference to how poorly that reboot of the franchise was received by fans after The Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out. After a fight with the Vulture, Peter is trapped under a massive amount of rubble and has to find the strength to get himself out. This is a clear reference to The Amazing Spider-Man issue number 33, where Peter gets stuck underneath a large amount of metallic debris and has to find the strength to get himself out so he can go save Aunt May. Just before he's able to get himself out, though, we also see a split view of his masked and unmasked face after Peter's mask is submerged underwater, and we see both it and the reflection of his unmasked face. This, of course, is a reference to some classic Spider-Man comic book art. During Vulture's big heist, we also see that he ends up trying to steal a large amount of Avengers equipment, including pieces of the Hulkbuster suit, a new prototype cap shield, Thor's belt, the Belt of Strength, which doubles Thor's physical power, the Mark 42 suit from Iron Man 3, and a bunch of arc reactors. After the Vulture's been defeated and everything's wrapping up, Michelle reveals that her nickname is MJ, which, of course, is a clear reference to Peter's longtime romantic interest, Mary Jane Watson. No guys, it's cool. She's definitely not Mary Jane. Everybody said so a while ago. That having been said, there is also a tiger running around in the background when she says this, which could be a reference to Mary Jane's famous "Face it, tiger, you just hit the jackpot" line from the comics, so make of that what you will. After Peter and Tony meet up again, Tony reveals that he made Peter a new spider suit, which, as you can see from some of these leaked photos, is very reminiscent of the Iron Spider suit from the comics. The main differences being that this suit keeps the Spider-Man color scheme, albeit with additional gold elements throughout the suit, and that the spider on the chest is different, looking similar to the spider logo on the symbiote costume. That last part is purely coincidental, of course, since Venom won't be a part of the MCU. Haha, silly Sony, ruining the hopes and dreams of fanboys since 2007.
Ooh, my spider sense is tingling. If you know what I'm talking about.
Anyways, in the same scene, Tony also tells Peter that his new room is right next to Vision's, who, as Happy puts it, isn't big on doors or walls. This, of course, is a reference to a somewhat early scene in Civil War when Vision phased into Wanda's room after General Ross arrived at Avengers HQ. And the song featured in the credits is Blitzkrieg Bop by the Ramones, who actually did a cover of the Spider-Man TV theme song back in the day. I don't know if that really counts as a reference or an Easter egg or not, but I thought that was kind of cool. Then comes the mid-credit scene. As I mentioned in a video I did about both the mid and post-credit scenes, links in the description, one of the scenes features Adrian Toomes meeting Matt Gargan in prison, who mentions having friends on the outside that want Spider-Man dead. Personally, I think this is a reference to the MCU version of the Sinister Six getting set up for a future Spider-Man movie. And Gargan also has a scorpion tattoo on his neck, a clear reference to his future as the armored Spider-Man villain. Alright guys, that's all the Easter eggs and references I could find in Spider-Man Homecoming. If you noticed any other ones I maybe missed or didn't include here, then go ahead and let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, I will see you all next time. Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to click that like button, maybe leave me a comment while you're at it, and go ahead and click that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to check out any of my social media pages. I've got a Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram. All those links are going to be in the description below. And I've also got my last video right there in the middle of your screen, so if you want to check that out, go ahead and click it, check it out. Alright, and I will see you all next time.